Good morning. I am going to take a look at Taylor Robinson, who is the suspect that has been captured in Charlie Kirk's assassination. So I just want to take a look at this 22-year-old. Like, why would he do this and throw his life away? Why did he do this? Tyler Robinson, what motivated or who motivated Tyler to do this? What do we need to know about Tyler and his involvement? Why he did this? It's still early morning here, so it's overcast. That's why my lighting is a little different. I don't have my overhead lights on. But let's just see here. I'm using the Viator Somniorium, which is a different deck that I really enjoy using. And it will be listed in the items if you're interested. Okay, now, why did Tyler do this? Let's see what we get. Toxic, paired with past lives. There's a karmic tie. There must have been a past life between Tyler and Charlie where there's a feeling that someone is toxic. And in this case, Tyler, it seems, would have been thinking that what Charlie was up to was toxic. That's true. Hmm. We get destruction. The sense to me that this kid feels like his destruction of Charlie is a positive destruction because it helps things in the way that Kali gets rid of, destroys things that need to be changed. That similar kind of mindset keeps coming back. All right, what else are we getting paired with destruction? The maze. This is, I think, the effort to throw them off his Tyler's trail. But there's also with the maze, let's see. 9999999. We just had 999. Let me see what I can get from this. Generally, the maze indicates confusion, a lack of direction, an overwhelming number of possibilities. Unlike the labyrinth, a maze has a number of exits. Ooh. Entrances and dead ends can indicate that the outcome of a situation has many possibilities. Mental focus, clarity and patience are required in order to resolve the puzzle. I think this is that hallmark of the kind of destruction as well, that there's more to it than meets the eye. It's deeper. Just like also with the past lives, even in the toxic card, that it's even more intense. And there's another word I wanted for this, but the whole thing, my goodness, goes back to another lifetime. And the thing about the maze having these various exits and exit points, the plan was to create confusion and leave room for, I think, trying to red herring, trip up, slow down the law. So past lives would also indicate that there is a past, even within possibly this lifetime as well, that was toxic. And it's making me feel like that past lives could be in reference to maybe something that happened years also before with Tyler and regarding uh, Charlie. Hmm. There's a really strong sense here that this young person felt that Tyler felt that he needed to be given a dirt nap because he was creating too much confusion. Um, and that there were all kinds of possibilities if you destroy. For some reason, I keep getting this message of there's other, like I'm saying, other possibilities and exits if he is destroyed. So I feel like it's possible that Tyler felt that in doing this, he would create somehow, I think, the opening of other possibilities without Charlie for some reason, particularly. All right, let's just continue. I get robbery. You know how I had gotten, I don't know if you can hear it, but that's the trash garbage collectors. Um, in the other reading that I did, the long deep dive, I kept getting that the suspect had the energy of robbery around them and quite possibly could have. That's something that they could have been involved with at some point or another. And I'm getting that energy again, the energy of stalking, being sneaky. There's the bandit. And I think distracting, getting people to look in a different direction. That's part of what's going on right now. And we get the away paired with robbery. It makes me wonder, did this young person have a history in the past again, where there's this energy that they seek to run away from and try to get away with things. And it shows up with the maze, robbery, the away. So, robbery and the away, getting away with something or running from consequences, seeking to avoid them. And we get loss. And these are teeth. Hmm. I'm concerned as well that this young man could um, complete his life here, if you know what I mean. Only I think it could be done for him, not unlike others that have ended up deceased in connection to Trump. Loss. I do feel like this kid was controlled and used, whether he knows it or not. Mm. And I get loss and I get dream lover. Like there's a quality here of the loss of a relationship or someone's ideal. Hmm. Okay. Just do this. So toxic loss, and I'm laying I can't wait till I can get it set up here so you can see, get a camera overhead. Past lives are connected to dream lover. In the past, there was someone that was an ideal or appeal. I'm not sure. I got that energy as well. And that deep dive. I get the elements. Okay. Of earth. So that's earth, water, air, fire. Get the elements with the, and it's falling under the card of destruction. Did someone try to destroy evidence? I get lucid. To me, he's very aware of what he was doing, that he was trying to create confusion and make it look like other possibilities that somebody else could have done this. That lucid is falling under the lineup of the card of the maze, and it's connected to elements. Mindfully bringing things together and utilizing them to create a desired effect. And there's a clear mind that intends to create or deflect and make things look like other than they are. You know, this kid thought he was playing the big boy game here. All right, let me see. Lucid occurs when the dreamer, lucid dreaming, because the card is lucid dreaming, takes control of their dreams, indicates awareness. As I was saying, he was aware of what he was doing, presence, observation, exploration, cultivation. Like the magician, it is an initiation to create. It is an invitation to create your own world, to manifest what you think, um, or wish to have occur. A card of empowerment and action. Okay, and it's with the elements. Primal forces that shape the world related to dreams, natural disasters, such as earthquakes, you know, floods. Which element was powerful in the dream? Okay. Something out of balance, overwhelming amount of emotion. Okay. Something in need of cultivation. Power you may not be drawing on. All right. I just want to look at Dream Lover as well. It is something to do with the ideal kind of a person. What was this? Anything I can glean from that? Hope you're having a great day, by the way. Happy Friday. Again. All right. Oh, yeah. Okay, one more. So, self love. There's a loss of self love here. A loss of self respect. And it comes after the cards of the robbery and the away, trying to run away from consequences and things one has done on the sly. But there is a loss, I feel like, of personal integrity, um, self love through intimacy or the ripening of personal sexual energy. A definite loss. Okay. A need for vulnerable engagement. Okay. Hmm. Let's see what else we get. Warrior. He thinks of himself as some kind of real warrior out there doing the God's work, so to speak, with 32. Fundamental archetype of personal strength and integrity. Just interesting. I was just using that word where there was a loss of an integrity. Maybe he thinks Charlie was somehow pushing something, maybe those Epstein files, and it would cause a loss of integrity, or it caused it's like after he did what he did, there is a personal sense of like, I shouldn't have done that. I really feel that with the loss in Dream Lover. I think there's a sense that of regret, and there's a lot going on here. This kid really believes in, obviously, and what he was doing here, and he really believes that there was a disgrace or a lack of honor. Hmm. And maybe he felt that Charlie was creating that. I don't know, with maybe insisting on the Epstein files being shown. Now, I know that he initially came out very robust in seeking the release. Then he spoke with Trump, and he's like, well, and he tucked his tail between his legs, Charlie did, and said, I'll just let, Trump and them sort it out. And then they said that he seemed to, after that personal phone call with Trump, go back to, I guess, pushing for the release. So initially, I think he decided to um, leave it alone after talking to Trump. And then what happened? Really need to look at Charlie's cards too. Stuck. Yeah, I think this kid is going to be stuck to take the fall. And we get dwelling. Stuck in a dwelling, stuck in a home, stuck in dwelling in prison, trapped in prison. Yeah, there is a sense of being contained here. So I think this is prison. He feels like he's been caught here. He felt very powerful. You can see earlier that he got away with this, but there was a moment, I think, of some kind of subconscious, I think, letting him know that this was actually not a good thing to do. There's a personal sense of, did I just do something that went against my code, moral code? Or is this to do with Charlie? Because there's definitely something. Ooh, another thing I wanted to mention was I noticed when watching the footage, like many other people did, that security was giving signs. Somebody, and I don't know if this is fact yet or not, I haven't been able to take the time to check it out, but somebody said that it was the same security that Trump used elsewhere, but perhaps in Butler or whatever. I don't know. I have no idea about that. But I did notice right before Charlie gets deleted, um, you can see definitely signaling going on by the security that's right there around him. Stuck in dwellings. All right, what comes with that is falling. He has to just he cannot stop he doesn't have any effect now on what is going to happen. And he has to just go with the flow. And that's not going to be easy for this young kid because he thought he was the warrior. He thought he was coming in to save the day here. And the source. So the source and falling. To me, this is him feeling like he is ostracized from what he depends upon or what he has come to depend upon. Hmm. Okay. Because dwelling is, I believe, falling is a form of loss as well, I thought. Yeah, indication of loss of control and a need to trust the universe, letting go, embracing the uncanny, and faith often relates to feeling like feeling like one has no control, as I said, or fear of the unknown. Transformation comes with loss of engagement and relaxing into the unknown. Take note of what led to or caused your fall and what you are falling towards. All right. Maybe also the feeling is that the handlers, I think, are going to still not be able to stop what's coming from coming. Nobody is. There's something around this that's going to get out from the hands of those who think they have control of the narration. Mm. And their spirit, I think the source, is playing their part. Okay. Let's see, 12. Uh, 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 I'm thinking. All right. So, okay, 37 actually. This is interesting. The source. Tapping into source is pulling from the divine well of collective consciousness. If you receive the source card, it's very auspicious, especially if you are an artist. The card indicates that you are being guided and directed by the divine in order to fulfill work that holds great purpose for the collective. We all have different gifts and talents. What are yours that you should be sharing with the world? Well, and falling, a loss of control. I think, again, it goes back to this kid feeling like he's lost the control he had. And there is the dependence upon really, truly on God. And I think God is going to use this um, situation for something else, a bigger benefit somehow to the collective. All right. Hmm. Okay. Healing and missed opportunities. I think this young kid had an opportunity in his life for healing that he missed out on. There's something very damaged here with this kid needs a lot of help, but I think that God is going to somehow use this to help help him, despite the fact of what's happened and everything. Yeah, there's imbalance. No kidding. Um, with him. And I think he is vulnerable in his own way and could have been taken advantage of to do this. Just like that young man in, what was it, Pennsylvania. And there's fear trying to use fear and really get in there and manipulate people, their emotions, their reactions. I think this kid thought he was being a superhero, so to speak. Noche Escura. He's going to go through a dark night of the soul and coming to realize he has been played and used. And there's going to be conflict, anger about this. And we get other worlds. Conflict, other worlds, and work. Loads of paperwork going on here. That reminds me of the Eight of Pentacles that I got in this reading. Somebody really putting an effort in to work in health. Work and health. There's something about Tyler's situation that needs looking into, no kidding, but about his, I think, his health and he missed opportunities for healing to have happened somehow. Maybe that's part of the anger. I don't know. I get gift and death. I keep feeling that Tyler may have seen again his taking of Charlie's life as some kind of gift to someone. Could it be if a gift to Trump if he didn't like that um, Charlie was pushing for the release of the Epstein files? Okay. So he thought he was giving a gift, and now he's going to be mocked, or there's laughter, there's mockery. This is a big joke, and almost got away, almost had it, but not quite. They're laughing. There's laughter at the fact that someone almost was able to get away with something, almost had it in the bag. I really do think that he was utilized to and fed a bunch of crap that he would be doing some sort of great thing if he did this. And I do think it's by others. Prophecy, something that's meant to be, meant to happen, and innocence. He's young. There's, I think, the preference to use somebody that's innocent here to do these things. Just like that young kid in Pennsylvania that of the Trump's ear and all that nonsense. Hope and give it time. There is something that in time will be very significant around, I think, innocence and vulnerability of this young man. And there's a hope that time will work in his favor. The chasing, going after what one wants and what one wants to do. Earlier, we had the away, where you're trying to run away from consequences, and this is running towards things that you want to manifest. And I get dancing, working in tandem with another, wants to work with others. World of dreams. This is just unlimited, I think, potential and inspiration. Interesting. Vigilance and rebirth. There's watching out so one does not end up taking a dirt nap. I think he's not fooled, this young man, by the fact that he could be targeted for removal. And I see cards that he could. It's possible that might happen. I hope not. Um, we get initiation. Again, I really feel like he thought he was being initiated into something. I don't know what they told him, but I do think he was groomed to do this. I do. And murder, initiation and murder. Oh, wow. I think he's feeling that the people that initiated him to commit that act of murder are going, that he's watching for them to make sure that he stays breathing. Wasteland and animal spirits. Poisonous, toxic. I don't know. Is there something about animals? And this, I'm not sure that there's like pollution I'm getting in, um, affecting the other creatures, the environment, environmental things might be somehow significant with this kid. And pollution in the environment causing illness and health issues in various creatures. No idea. We get synchronicity. Things are going to start falling into place as they are meant to with regard to this. This is a significant event. And shame. I think eventually this young man is going to feel ashamed. And I think he's going to realize once again that he was taken advantage of, his vulnerability. All right. We get illusion and abstract. So I think again, there's a lot of very confusing details that will be causing people to rethink and look at this from a more abstract way of thinking. And that there's just like this is a cover up. And I think this kid's going to realize he's been used impromptu and with haste, taken advantage of. Recurring dream. Hmm. And flying, dreaming of being free, movement, maybe trying to get free, trying to stay. Also, dreaming of, I think, maybe not being in prison, managing to get out somehow. Hmm. And looking within, teaching him a big lesson about looking within rather than to the others to lead you, because they can lead you astray and take advantage and have you doing things that you think are good and they're not. Um, it benefits someone else and they can throw you away. So then there's counsel. Look within and counsel. I think he could get some counseling um, within the system, of the prison system. And again, toxic past lives. So he and um, Charlie go back, and maybe in another life, maybe Charlie caused his passing. What I want to see here, and this is the Visions of Life tarot. What I want to see is, were there older people guiding Tyler to take this action? Were there other people pressuring, pushing Tyler to do this? Maybe telling him what a great thing and gift he was giving to the world. I get despair. I think it's starting to set in. And trouble. He realizes, I think, yes, and he was, and I think it's causing him now to really feel despair and trouble because he was caught, not protected, not whatever they may have promised him. And we get humanism. We're all connected, just like the cutout here of the chain of people and the cutout that the child's made here. We are all connected. Humanism. And that is linked with encumbrance. What you carry with you. Do you travel light or do you have a lot of baggage? And here is that connection. I think he wanted to belong, but now he's really lumbered down with a problem. And he's hoping that others will help him get out of it. Critique. Paired with self-sufficiency. So critique, it feels like someone's definitely going to be pointing out that you couldn't have done this all by yourself, or making him feel less than smart. And I think pointing out maybe a lack of self sufficiency, a lack of self esteem that makes this young kid vulnerable to try and please, people please, or to be brave like he wanted to be. Confusion. I think the kid is confused because I think he was used. And I think there's a lot of people going to be confused for a while because they're going to try and spin this. And I get routine, confusion, routine, something that was done over and over again. I think this kid, he just from watching the way he ran and it's like, and I'm sure he did prepare for this. He did this over and over again. And maybe he's confused or being confused by what he thought was going to happen, what he was told was going to happen, and what's happened now that he's been caught. It's like he's copping on that he's been used. I get shortage and I get food. Shortage, but this could just also be like short of money for food, or there's a financial angle here that is preventing him from getting something he wants. All right. And it's paired with solicitude, seeking money from others, or seeking someone else to give you what you need or want. Silence. I think he's going to be very quiet. And I think he'll be told not to say anything, probably by an attorney. I also think he's terrified. And we get deliverance. So silence and deliverance. I think he's going literally through his thoughts, trying to figure this out because he's confused about how they were able to do this to him. What the point of this is. I feel like he's trying to figure out what their next steps are. I get distribution, trying to get everyone to be the same. Look at the glasses. Distribution, but there's a greater message than just distribution. It is maybe making people feel like this guy here, ashamed that he looks almost ashamed that he doesn't have the glasses everyone else is wearing, and this guy hands him a pair. Um, Once again, there's a sense of belonging and identification, who you identify with, and someone making you feel like you could be part of something bigger. I think they messed with his mind. And I get danger, and I'm getting the COVID spores again. Now, I will say COVID is going around again, and I do believe this is the guide's way of saying be careful again, be aware. Also, there could be an outbreak again. well, it's already happening, that could catch up to this, maybe, youngin'. There's the beginning, welcome, but you're not exactly welcome. Feeling like he doesn't, no longer has a real home. We're realizing he can't go back home. The door isn't even there. And I don't know if this kid has concern, but when you go to a prison, a lot of them died from COVID. So if there is another wave of COVID, and there is going on, it could take some people there and cause, illness, and certainly some maybe to even pass. But getting that it's the beginning of danger in his environment as well, that he's not safe like at home. He's vulnerable. He's going to realize that. Callousness, really cold hearted, and that's paired with limitations. That's to me, feels like prison. And there's a callousness in prison that he's probably not prepared for. He's very young. And this is a mess, a whole bunch of thumbs here. What has he gotten himself into? A huge mess. Loss of control is highlighted again. And everybody's too busy to notice that someone's acted out and taken all their pants. I know it's weird, but someone taking advantage as well. And again, loss of control. When you're in prison, nothing is up to you. Again, he's trying to run away from things. Avoidance and inequality. Hmm. We get warning, and this card is important. That's it's not good for this kid. Um, about blindness. He's very naive, and that there's things that he may not be able to, once again, be able to protect himself very well because of the place he's going to be at with blindness. Also, he was used because he was blind, you know, vulnerable. Let's just see on warning. I wanted to tell you what that card uh, says. Okay. There is, hold on. Sometimes if it's been a while, that comes back on, that little transition. Well, warning says here that alertness, caution, readiness, neglect, unawareness, being caught off guard. And I think he could get caught off guard, and I think it's something he fears. Um, he just doesn't have that experience, that street cred, that street awareness. There's a great deal of sheltered energy here in some ways, just because he's young. Um, and the other thing with blindness, confidence in one's beliefs, but at risk of ignoring reality. True wisdom requires awareness, being woke. Oh, being woke, being wise is so uncool. So, self assurance, inner peace, and confidence. But this kid has issues with being able to realize when he's being fooled. I think he was manipulated here. And we get persistence and slavery. To me, there's being forced to do things that you don't want to have to do. You're the slave. You're not in control again. This is an issue, once again, for this young man, the control thing. Although I suppose it is for most people. We get competence, and we get the computer, and we get money, and we get mystery. I think, is he a hacker? Um, does he have skills to do that? There's a mystery around competence. Hmm, that's interesting. We do get ending. So I think somebody that is competent could, with the mystery, come in and do another thing like what happened to Epstein when he was in prison. And we get ending and we get manipulation, that this is all a setup and that somebody else is the puppeteer that's using others to take others out and then take those that have been taking people out. There's a bigger, older energy here behind Tyler's situation. We get debility, an inability, limitations, debility, and control again. There's some issue. He's just being going to be watched. I think also being aware of the cameras, something about cameras. Oh, that makes me feel like there were things with Epstein's cameras. I don't like the way this is feeling. Lost time and regret. A waste of his life, a waste of time that would have been better spent doing something else. There's regret for how he spent his time on Earth. And isolation, to me, no matter what he may have been isolated the way he lived in the public, but definitely in prison, there is a sense of isolation. But I think he could lose his life. And we do get isolation and worship. I think he turns to God and will turn to God for a while. It's God's going to be his best friend. At least I hope so. Um, I get femininity. I think these are women that are going to try to stand up for him, especially if they think that he was, as I said, set up. And I do. Mutual assistance. Yes. So this could be a lawyer. This could be definitely um, those that are there to help him with his needs. Oh my God. Look, release. And we get the prison bars. And he's trying to release his brain. And that's paired with consistency. I think the monotony of being in prison could get to this kid. He's young, he's very immature. Um, he's not going to be ready for it and how it will affect him. But I do see women, maybe this isn't just mother or auntie, but maybe in the sense of a lawyer that's mother or auntie helping him. But I do see women around him trying to assist him again. And we get complacency. That's not good. Too much complacency where you're not making sure things are on the up and up or uh, lined up, how things are, not kept. We do get justice, money, and people. Look at that. We do get justice. What's it paired with? Struggle with the wealthy. There is going to be highlighting the struggle of those with and those without, and also that the law favors the wealthy, not your common person. I get prodigality and suspicion. He's not going to trust anyone. Suspicion. I also think people will be very, very suspicious of this young man doing all of this. It might finally occur to people, just like it did with Pennsylvania, with the young man attempting to assassinate Trump and hitting other people. I think whoever worked with that kid, I do think there's somebody else pulling the strings. We were shown that here. All right, who is pulling the strings? Who is pulling the strings? Is it like Miller? Is it Miller? Is Miller pulling these strings? All right, let's take a look. Is Miller, Stephen Miller, is he the one that set this in motion with the young man? Does he have a connection? Stephen Miller, yes or no? I get exploitation. Yes. He's using this kid as a fall guy. And that makes me feel that, yes, Stephen Miller is allegedly, for all purposes here, involved. Distribution. Maybe he was one that was saying you can be part of the team. Definitely using someone and making them feel like they were part of part of the group, part of the big boy club. And we get obscurity. He made sure to pick somebody, I think, obscure. This young man was his vulnerability, I think, appealing. And we get naivete. As I said, that's been his biggest downfall is being his youth that he thinks he knows things. It's just ripe for that age and then being led astray and his own innocence being used against him in a sense. Um, I believe he was groomed to do this. And now he's left with the mess. He's left with the heaviness, and they've run off, you know, without any kind of slowdown or being stopped or caught. He's been caught, and those that I think, Miller, so on, because this is about Miller, I think they use these kids and they can dump a lot of things that they don't want to deal with through this event, through this deflection, and onto this innocent, vulnerable, naive person. And this is definitely thinking, race. This is about acting quickly. And also, I think, for the electoral races, midterms, and then 2028. And we get incompetence. Well, Miller's incompetent. Also, look at the health issue. It's just wacky. And taking risks when you roll the dice like that because of incompetence. Of course, he doesn't want that kid to talk and say, hey, Miller encouraged me, or so on and so forth. So I think Miller's going to want him silenced. He may have ordered him to take out Charlie and ordered now, I think, silence. He wants him not to be able to talk. Hmm. That's I didn't notice this, but on this card on Deliverance, there's a tear running out of this guy's eye as a doctor pulls and throws various rocks out of this guy's head. Um, and control on the toilet again. I think Stephen looks to have get things done that are dirty so that he doesn't have to get his hands dirty. He looks to have someone else have all the dirt while he controls the situation. He's definitely connected, in my opinion. All right, let me just see something with things are just kind of there's no outline here that makes sense of how they set this up, at least that I can find yet. Deliverance, breakthrough, emotional release, confusion. I think the kid's going to realize that he's been taken advantage of, and Miller's going to have him under his control, silenced. I also think that silenced in a permanent sense, too, because Miller wants that ultimate control. So the breakthrough And the relief for Miller will be when that kid can't, I think, um, speak. We get beginning, danger, and inability. Again, this is on Stephen Miller. And mess. But Stephen Miller's not all that intelligent. He's going to be creating a mess out of his own danger. I'm sorry, out of his own incompetence, his own inability, and something will trip up. And I think people are going to look more deeply this time. And maybe he'll be stripped of his control, loss of control. That's what he fears. And isolation. I I think he wants to also make sure to take away the control from this young kid and get him isolated in prison. And he doesn't care. There's tears and everything that this, kid's like confused. Why are you doing this to me kind of thing? And callousness, doesn't have a heart. Literally does not have a heart and did this. Yes. Wants him in prison. So I'll leave that there. Let me know what you think.